It's Craft Club time. It's month number 17 and it's all about the illusion film. Now when it comes to the illusion film, you've got 69 pieces inside. So let's have a look at all 69 pieces. Now what you are going to be getting when it comes to every single piece, you are going to be getting your illusion film. Now you're going to be getting 2 rolls. Now within these ones, these are 5 inch in width and these are 2 meters in length each. So you've got that iridescent blue and the yellow. So you've got that. We're also giving you a big 8-gram pot of crushed ice glitter that you can use within the film or separately. That's in there. Then everything else we're going to be giving you, of course, we're going to be giving you some craft wire that you can use in between your illusion film to give you structure and also to create shape. That's in there. We're also going to be giving you all of these die cut images. Now what we have got is we've got 2 fairies. I know they're hard to see, but you've got your fairies, you've also got your arched window, you've also then got your mermaids, and then you've also got 2 lots of butterflies. That's what you're going to pop all of your illusion film behind. We're giving you your cardstock panels as well. Now these ones are 4x6, 300 GSM. You're getting 10 of them in total. That's included. We are then going to be giving you your colored cardstock. So a nice block of 8x8 color card. 8 colors, 2 of each. It's giving you 16 sheets in total. What about some printed papers? We're going to be giving you these printed papers, 8x8, 8 designs, 2 of each as well. Now these are giving you that real kind of old vintage feel when it comes to every single design. As I said, 16 of those. And then last but by no means least, we're of course giving you the technique booklet as well. 4 different techniques to follow. You've got the QR code, you've got them in pictures, you've got them in written, and then you will have a few of these within of course the videos that we do for Craft Club. Now all of that comes combined within your little wallet. So you're going to be able to use the illusion film on the back of all these pre-cut images. You're going to be able to mix and match the 2 different illusion films. You can then start to have fun. You can start to get creative with maybe some of your other dies at home. But all of that is what you're going to be getting. When it comes to Craft Club, it's month number 17 and it's all about the illusion film. With the Craft Club, this one being month number 17 and it's all about the illusion film, we can use it as a stained glass window effect by using the black die cut arch windows, and we're going to sandwich some of the illusion film in between. Now let's get started. So what we're going to do to start with is I've gone in with some of the pattern paper that you get included. I've cut that to 3.5 by 5.5 inches, and I've taken another piece of that block cardstock that you also get included. So I'm going to take my tape runner and I'm going to go around the outer edge. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to come in a little bit further in and add in some tape, and that will become apparent in a moment. So we can then layer that over the top just like that. Now we can then take one of our die cuts. So this one of course being the arch window. We're going to take a pencil for this. Now at home you can pop it on the top and draw around. If I do that now, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to see. Now it's symmetrical, it's exactly the same shape, so therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it onto the back. That way it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to see. So I'm going to then hold with my finger and then I'm taking a pencil and I'm going to go around that outer edge. Now don't worry if it's not an exact line because we're going to cut. It's so that you've got that outer line that you can then follow. So we're working our way all the way around on that outside edge. So once you're happy with that, there we go. We can see that better on that block card. What we're then doing is we're going to cut it out. Now, a really, really easy way to cut out, you can of course use a craft knife. I like my small scissors, as many of you know that watch all of the craft clubs. But what I'm going to do with my craft knife is I'm going to take a big chunk of it out. Now you can be, a lot more sparing than I am here and be a lot more neater, and then you can use that excess card that's going to come away. But instead of fighting to get your scissors in, if you take a big chunk of this out, it's going to make it so much easier now just to get your scissors in and then cut along the lines. So we're going to do that. We're going to cut all the way along the lines here. We're going to try and make sure we can get them as neat as possible. So follow along. If you do have any excess pencil line that can be seen, take your eraser and just erase those lines out of the way. But the good thing as well by doing it on the back is it does mean that you're not going to see the pencil lines. So if you're doing it on the front and you see pencil line, just take your eraser. But on the back here, you don't need to worry because you're not going to see them. So let's cut in, and then we're just going to follow, as I like to say, travel and cut up to the line, snip that out. Now we've got our perfect aperture just by drawing around. Now we're going to do another little bit of drawing here. So that now gives me my outer aperture. Let's go in with a 4x6 card blank. Now I want to repeat that, but I want my aperture to be a little bit smaller, and there's a reason why. I'll also go back to the reason why I added tape further on that inside is so that the layers are stuck together. If I only put tape on the outer edge, these layers would start to prise away. So by putting your tape in the middle, stops that from happening. So let's go back into place. So as I say, you could take your pencil and you could free draw a line on that inside edge. So you would come in a couple of mils, but there is a little bit of a cheat way to do that. So let's line that up where we want it. We've not stuck it down yet, but we've lined it up. Now, of course, because that aperture is exactly where we want it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to then just move that out the way, and this inner line that you can just see here, not the outer line, but this inner line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around that. Now, it's black card, so don't worry about any pencil line falling over the edge. You're not going to see it. But we're going to go along that inner line here, and then we can continuously draw around, and then we're following each section all the way up to the top. We're then going to get to where we started, and now we've got another aperture that's a couple of mils smaller than your main one, and it's a lot easier than trying to freehand with that pencil. Open it up, and then we're going to do exactly the same here. So take our craft knife and we're going to work our way around, taking as much of that excess out as possible. And then once you've got that out, we can remove that, and we're going to go in with our scissors. We're going to do what we've done before, and we're going to cut. We're going to then travel along, and then we're just going to work our way top to bottom. Don't worry about the corners because we can come back and cut those out. It's about ease and comfort of getting your scissors in there and then cutting. So I'm going to come into here or underneath, whatever you feel comfortable using, and whichever direction you feel comfortable cutting. We're just going to then work our way down. And then where we've got these little sections here, we're just going to follow that in so far, and then we can then finish that off. If I come down into this last section, into there, you will then see, if I move that out the way, we've now got the perfect aperture that's just ever so slightly smaller. So that's us now done our card blank. So before we start to assemble it, let's take some of the illusion film. Now I've taken it off the roll. Remember, it is 5 inches in width, and then you've got a full 2 meters in length of each of them. So let's then bring in a travel iron, or of course it could be a craft iron, or it could be, well, a home iron if you wanted it to be. Now I've got a little padded surface here, but we're going to go in with the foil, or the illusion film, if you want, and then you've got a shiny side and you've got a little bit more of a matte side. So I'm going to back that matte to matte. Now we're going to then just press that into place. Now to do that, we're just going to take some grease-proof paper here and we're going to sandwich that in the middle. Now remember, we've gone matte to matte and we're going to sit that into place. We're going to close our grease-proof paper and then we're going to take our iron or our travel iron and we're going to go side to side. Now I've got it on high. Now the more you do this and the more you travel side to side, kind of the crinklier and the more texture it's going to get. So I'm just going to go one end to the other and we're just going to then press. Once you've done that a few times, what we're going to be left with is we're going to be left with that film that's fused together. It makes it a little bit more robust, a little bit thicker. So just make sure that you move things such as you iron that out the way and then you can carry on with your card. Now if I bring back in our layers, now the reason I didn't stick that together, first of all, if I did do that, I would then have to put the film on the back and it looks a little bit messy. So we're going to sandwich that onto the back here. So let's take our tape runner and we're going to work our way from edge to edge, side to side, and I'm going to go round each part. So follow your aperture that you've cut into position. You can use a wet glue, but you will need to let that dry for a wee while. And then we're going to pop that in. Just to say, what I didn't say is the size of the foil, I just made sure it was a little bit bigger than the actual aperture. And then if you've got any bits, you can just start to fold them out, but they'll be pressed in with, of course, your card blank. Now we're going to do the same with the tape runner. We're going to go round that outer edge. So we're going to get that going. Edge, edge, top, and I'm even going to add some up to the edge of that aperture. So you're not going to see it shining through, but if we now bring that in, and we can still see that little smaller aperture edge shining through, we're going to press that one into place here. And now you can see we've got a nice crisp clean back in there with none of that residual foil. Then we're going to come along, let's go in now with our arch, and the reason that we made it a little bit smaller in the back is so you've got somewhere to lever and somewhere to place that outer edge. I don't really want to put glue into the middle onto the foil, the film. You can absolutely do that, but I'm going to go in now with my dotty tape runner. I'm going to go round that outer edge. You can use your tacky glue if you want, but I'm just keeping this with, of course, my dots round the edge. That can then sit into place perfectly because we've drawn around that. I'm then going to bring in some ribbon. So I've got a little bit longer than I need, so I'm going to go and measure that very slightly with my fingers, cut it to the size, trim that excess. We're going to finish off with a sentiment in a moment, but we're going to come down the side. So we'll get our tape runner going, top to bottom, and then to make it easier for myself, I'm just going to turn on my side, and then we can then bring that up, press that in, add another little bit of tape, maybe about 1/3 of the way down. I'm going to go and add a little tied knot, and then I'm bringing in one of my sentiments. Now you can use any sentiments from your past craft clubs, but what I've done is I've started to bring some in just from my collections at home. This one says, wishing you the best, today and always. I've already stamped it out. A little bit of the excess card stock from Craft Club. And then let's bring in a foam pad. I'm going to pop a couple, or let's do 3 foam pads onto the back, creating that bit of height. You've got the texture from the ribbon, you've got the texture from the black die cut, but then you've also got that texture coming through from the illusion film. I'm going to come down a little bit, down into there, press it into place, and then there we go. We've got our lovely little 4x6 card blank, where we've then just used the film, we've sandwiched it in between, and we've created a really lovely arch window with the illusion film from Craft Club, month number 17, and it's all about, well, the illusion film. Now when it comes to our Craft Club, this one of course being month number 17, and it's all about the illusion film, we can start to build up the layers. Now not only can we start to build up the layers, we can add multiple layers, and we can even start to sandwich some of the icy glitter in between. So let's get started. Now what we're going to start with this time, first of all, is the card blank. So let's go in with the card blank. Now I've already done the layers, the pattern paper, 5x5, added a black matte layer, and then I've gone in with some of that beautiful kind of orange tone, that pumpkin tone block cardstock that you get included within Craft Club 17. Now I'm going to matte layer that onto a 6x6 card blank. Now some of the excess that we had left over from the side of the card, I've just kept that, and then I've just kept a little side panel, lifted that on foam pads. We're going to set that one to the side like so, and then I've taken just a couple of my circle nest and dies, pattern paper with another little bit of black card. Now what I've done here is I've only put my foam pads to what will be the right hand side, so it balances out within this strip. Now what I am going to do though is, because it's going to be on the same level, I'm going to add some of my tape runner. We're going to set that in, and then what we can also do is let's finish off with our sentiment, and then we can start building with the butterflies. So that's now me, got my card blank ready to go. So move that out the way, and then I'm going to come in with one of the butterflies that are already pre-cut. Now remember, you've got your 8x8 sheets, you've got two different designs of butterflies. Now we're going to mix and match the illusion film. So I've taken a couple of little squares, I've cut them myself, big enough to fit within the butterfly. Now I've taken the yellow and I've taken the blue, because you can mix and match, and I've done exactly the same, yellow and blue, and then yellow and blue. Now I'm going to move them to the side of my glass mat for a moment while I bring in my iron and my ironing board. So we can bring this in. I've got my iron. It can be a home iron, a travel iron, or a craft iron, but I've got my surface as well to iron onto. Now with the illusion film, you will find a shinier side, and then you'll find more of a matte side. Just to say, you can use either side, it's up to you. I prefer to iron matte to matte, so you've got the shiny side on each side, but it's up to you. Now before we come along and we start to iron it, we're going to bring in some of, this is just some grease-proof paper, parchment paper, and then we're going to open it up. Now I'm going to bring in one little panel first of all, then we're going to come in with the crushed ice glitter. You could start to do this with other glitters within your stash, but we're going to pick up a little bit and we're going to sprinkle some in. We don't want too much, we don't want it overly chunky, we don't want it like a shaker, but we want enough that's going to create extra look for the eyes. It's giving you extra detail as you're looking through into the illusion film. We're then going to bring in our other piece and we're going to set that over the top. You can just see speckles of that glitter. We're going to close our greaseproof paper, and then we're going to iron over the top. Now I'm going to go side to side, and I'm just pressing. It is on high. The more you do this, the crinklier it's going to get. So we're just going to press. I'm going to do it maybe a little bit more, a couple of more times than I would usually do, just with that glitter being inside. I can then remove that. Now what we've then got is we've got that crinkly effect, a little bit of that ice glitter popping through within the middle. I'm going to set that to the side, and then we're going to repeat that step again. So taking the ice crushed glitter, and we're going to sprinkle. Now you'll see that my illusion film is starting to bend in on itself, only because you've still got a little bit of warmth there. So either leave it a moment or do it on a colder surface, then bring it back, or as you can see here, after a few seconds, it starts to flatten. So we're going to bring in another piece and pop that over the top, close that one over, and we're going to do exactly what we've done there. Now, if you are going to be using any other glitter, I would make sure that it's still a fine glitter. Although this one is the chunky ice, it's still very, very fine. It's not overly thick or not overly textured. So if you're going to do it with other glitter, make sure it's the same and it's not chunky. I wouldn't do it with anything like sequins or microbeads, but any fine glitter is going to be perfect. So let's press that in, move that out the way, and then we can then lift that one up. And I'm going to do it one more time. So I'm going to have done it 3 times in total. You can do it more than that if you want by the actual finished result that you're going to see. So pop that on. What I am going to do now, as you can see, because I've been heating that up a few times, it's still really quite warm. So let's go in onto a nice cold glass mat. When you're doing it this way, you just need to be careful that when you transfer the film onto the greaseproof paper, that you don't knock your glitter out. But let's sprinkle that on. I'm then going to lift that up carefully. Let's bring our mat back in. We're going to then put that down, bring in our next layer, and then close. Repeat the step that we've been doing so far. Press in with a little bit of pressure on high with your craft iron, travel iron, or home iron. And then once you've done that, remove that out the way, peel from your greaseproof paper, and then that's us now got our third one done. So let's be careful now and move all of that out the way. At home, you would switch it all off straight away. I'm just moving it completely out the way from my legs, and let's bring in the 3 that we've done. So bringing back in with the butterfly. So I'm going to go in with my tape runner here. Now we've done the mats and layers with a straight tape runner. For this bit, I'm going to go in with my dots for now, and that's because I only want to go onto the body, and I only want to go onto the body lightly, and I'm going to press that in. So I'm just going to really, really press down. What I'm going to do to make it easier for myself, let's pop more glue or adhesive behind the body. So I've done it behind the body, and then I'm going to go onto my second piece. I'm going to really press once again. You'll still have a little bit of heat building up, which is going to help stick with the glue. And then I'm going to do that once again. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can cut all 3 layers at once. So press, I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to rub down the center of the butterfly, building up the heat so we've got a really good stick. The alternative way is just to cut each layer of the illusion film individually. So taking your scissors, I'm using my small scissors, and you don't have to be overly neat at this point, because what I'm doing is I'm cutting ever so slightly just under the edge of the butterfly. So it's not as if it has to be exact when it comes to all the round edges. And then every now and again, when I get to a certain section, I'm going to come along and just discard the bits that are hanging over the edge. Now, I'm not going to go around the antennas. I'm just going to then cut along and then around. And then as I get to the top here, let's discard the rest. And then we can then pinch. And I'm pinching the butterfly as I'm going round. So I'm holding it, it's nice and secure, and I can follow my outline into the next part. We're then just going to then take that rest away. All these little bits you could be using, you could keep for your backgrounds, some of maybe your smaller dies if you want to. So keep them in a little pack or a little wallet. Let's then work our way all the way up, and then just under the bottom of the body again, we're just going to cut round, follow, and then we've now got our butterfly, whereas if I keep hold of the body, we can then start to prise these 3 layers away. So you've then got 1, you've then got 2, and then you've got 3, and exactly the same on the opposite side, and we've cut all 3 layers at once. You might want to do 1 layer, 2 layers, 5 layers, 7 layers, it's up to yourself. but that is how I like to cut at least 3 of them at the same time. Now that we've done that, we can bring back in our card blank that we've already started to build. And because we've created that circular focal, it means I can come back in with my dots. So I'm going to add my dots to the back, and the tape runner will work beautifully with the film as well. And then we can then pop that at an angle. I'm going to hold, press, and while I'm holding and pressing, I'm going to start to bend back all that film. Remember, you've also got that film in there that works with the wire. So if you want to put the wire in to make it a little bit more flexible and for it to stay in place, you can do that. But then if we start to fluff up the wings there, if I turn it on its side for a moment, you can see the dimension you've got, folds flat in an envelope. But then once you've got your finished project, 6 by 6, you could make it smaller, larger. That could be a box lid if you want. That could even be a decoration if you want to. And that's from Craft Club. It's month number 17, and it's all about our super cool illusion film. Now with our Craft Club, this one being month number 17, it's all about the illusion film. Not only can we use the illusion film, but we can then start to use that iced glitter to do a little bit of a shaker. So let's dive straight in and then let's get started. Now, the only bit with the card blank I've already done is taken some of my pattern paper and I've matte and layered that onto white and a little bit of that tan colour. The pattern paper is 4.5 by 6.5, and then I'm going to set that one out the way. I'm going to bring in a couple of layers that I have already done as well. Now what I have done is I've used some of our nesting dies. Now when it comes to these nesting dies, these are our Gemini stitched fancy rectangles, and I've used just a little bit of our water reactive midnight green topaz to create that little bit of a background. You can use your pattern papers if you want to, but creating our own background. Die cut our background, die cut our acetate, and then I've used the same die and the smallest one in to create that framework. So let's start with our shaker. So let's go in with that outer frame that we've already done. I'm going to go in with my dotted tape runner, and we're going to go round that outer edge. So if we come round that outer edge of the frame, I'm going to position the die into the center of my glass mat, and then we're going to work our dotted tape around. It's going onto acetate, so you can use your wet glue if you're using acetate, but you'd need to let that dry for a wee while. I'm then going to bring in that acetate layer, and then we're going to position that into place, creating that overlay, but then it's also creating that barrier as well. So through that aperture, we've now got our acetate. So before we bring in the crushed ice glitter and pop it inside, we're going to have to create kind of the wall for the shaker. Now you can use your foam on a roll, or if you've got our small foam pad strips, you can use these. And I'm going to take some of these and I'm going to work my way around. Now because these are strips, it means that they're really nice and flexible, so I can keep working my way around, and then I'm going to bring in another one. Now with a shaker, we just need to make sure that we're pressed and butted right up against the edge so nothing falls out. So we're going to keep traveling all the way around, follow all the way around, and we'll need another one to then just butt right up against that edge again, and then we're going to follow, travel. As that meets, let's bring in our scissors. I'm going to then just snip that on and make sure that we've got that connection there. No gaps, no nothing where anything can fall through. So now we're going to go in with our crushed ice glitter. So before we sit it into the middle, let's get our layer ready to go, and I'm going to then take the backing off. So let's take the backing off and just start to peel. So we're going to get all that off and all that ready to go. So once you've got all that off, we're going to go back in to our patterned layer, bring in the crushed ice glitter, and then I'm going to start to sprinkle some within the middle here. I don't want too much. I don't like a full shaker, but you can do that if you want. You could add sequins in, micro beads, fine glitter. It's up to you, but we're using what's in Craft Club month number 17. Making sure it's within the center. Take that frame, because we don't want anything to block the adhesive layer of the foam on a roll. And then we're going to overlay that over the top. We're going to press, give that a really good press down. Now we've got our shaker, which is then going to go onto our card blank. So set that to the side, and then let's bring in the beautiful black die cut mermaid. And then I've got some strips of the illusion film. So this one here is the blue, and I'm going to use the blue. And I'm going to go into sections. So that's the 2 blues, 2 yellows, and then another couple of bits of the 2 yellows. The reason they're different sizes is because we're going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. This blue is going to go under the mermaid's tail, and then we're going to then snip away. And then the smaller bit is going to go under the end, the fin of the mermaid, snip that away, and this can go towards the top. So you don't have to use one continuous piece of film. You can do some mixing and matching. So I'm going to set them out the side. I'm going to bring in my ironing mat. I've got my greaseproof paper. So if you can see with the greaseproof paper, all that we're going to do is we're just going to open that one up that you can see here. Once it's opened, that then means we're ready to go. So let's bring in the blue to start with. If you want to put some of the ice glitter in, you can do. But before we close, let's just make sure we've got our additional piece over, press it in, bring in the iron, and then we're going to press back and forwards, back and forwards. Now, when I've said in the past videos for the illusion film for Craft Club, the more you do, the more texture it's going to get. That works really well for the mermaid's tail. But prize that away. That's our first one. We're then going to come in with our other 2, and I'm going matte side to matte side, overlay, close, and then bring in our iron, press that in, press with a good bit of pressure, and then we can then move in to our third and final one, which is this one here. Pop in, back the other one, close over, and then press with your iron. So as we press that into place, that's us now got all 3 parts ready to go. So open it up, sit to the side, be careful with your iron while you're moving it away. You can switch it off. I'll switch mine off later. And we're going to go back in with our mermaid. So for our mermaid, I'm going to go back in with my dotted tape runner. And I'm going to do just section by section to start with. Now we're going to go onto our tail, our body, and I'm going to add the dots. So if I add the dots on, I'm being really careful because the design of the mermaid is beautiful and it's also really dainty and delicate. Bringing in our blue layer of our illusion film, and then all that we can do is we can then start to move the film. We can then position the film underneath so that we've got our tail and our body. Press that in. Press that with our thumb or our finger, and then we're going to go in with our scissors. So I'm going to go in with my small scissors, and then we're going to follow all the way round. And this part really, really easy because it's just the curve. So following the curve with your scissors, we're going to have a lot of this excess left over, which means we can use it elsewhere in other projects, and then we can do the same round into here. So we're going to work, follow, travel, round the edge, and it's a nice way to show how you can do your own little bit of patchwork on the back of these black die cuts. Once you've gone in with that one, we can then start to see that film just starting to shine through. Let's take our next one. We're going to go in with the largest square of yellow that I've done. We're going to repeat that step, but we're going to do that round the wave of our hair. And because I'm using the dots, I'm being really careful, just pressing down with my finger. Use your tacky glue if you want to, but your dots is going to be good for the mermaid and the delicate layers. Bring it in, And then I'm going to do the same. So I'm just going to create that kind of little bit of a patchwork around so that we're covering the top part of her body. And then, of course, the hair. Press that in. And then what you can also do, if you find it easier, just very quickly, roughly fussy cut the excess away. And then we're going to follow that outer line again, round her hair, follow it, in, round, and then we can then repeat the last step with our fin. So we're just traveling. Whatever size scissors you prefer to use them. If you prefer large ones, use your large ones. It's what you find easier using. And then underarm, we don't need to go all the way around our arm, so I'm just going to undercut there, take that away, and then just this little section around the base of our arm, around the base of our hair, undercut into that section there with the scissors, take that away. I'm just then going to then put my finger underneath, and now that's our top part that we can see here. There we go. And then last, but by no means least, we're going to go back in with the dots onto the fin, the very end. Really easy to cut around. And then we can then overlay our third piece, press in, and then follow around with the scissors till you get to the end. Once you get to the end, we can start to bring in our card blank and our shaker that we've created beforehand. We're just twisting, turning, gives you a really nice cut into the end. Once we're at the end, we've now completed our mermaid with our own little bit of kind of patchwork onto the back, and you've got the two different tones of colours, the blue with the yellow. So now that that's done, let's bring in all the other elements. I've also delved into one of my past collections, which was the Enchanted Ocean, taking a stamp, have a fantastic birthday. And then I'm bringing in my tape. Bringing in my tape runner, we're going to start to build our layers. So from that shaker with the crushed ice, it's going to complement and play really well with our mermaid and the illusion film. So I'm going to press, we're going to come in with our shaker, we're going to add our tape to the back, strips from top to bottom, we're going to press that one into there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the mermaid again. Let's bring in, I'm going to go in with the foam pad strips that I had. You can be using your small foam pads or use your larger foam pads and then just chop them down. But where we've got that black, that solid black from the mermaid, what I'm going to do is add some foam pads. That's then going to give a little bit of lift. It's natural shadow, and we've got a little bit into there. And then moving all that out the way, if we then press that down, and then I'm going to peel the backing off. You could use a glue gel if you want in the same position, wherever you've got the solid backing of the black die cut. Peel, move. That can now sit right within the middle. Hold, press. We've got that freedom at the bottom there. You can see how it's just starting to move and it'll twinkle within the light. In with our sentiment, bringing in a foam pad, and then we can pop our foam pad at the side. That can go into the edge here, and then that is our shaker mermaid with the illusion film. Created it with the layers, bringing in some of the pattern paper and the solid card, and that is another card, another project that you can be making from Craft Club. It's month number 17, and it's all about the illusion film.